All right, I got to address some of the controversy we've been getting here, some of the backlash, and some upcoming changes that you need to know about with regards to my channel to hopefully provide a bit of context. So if you didn't know, every single time we release something goes live, like we just had our Among the Pagans collection that just came back. It's available now. Every time something like this comes around, I'm promoting it. I'm talking about it. Why? Because people are asking for it. Hey, when are you going to bring this back? It's that time of the year, Hallows Eve, All Saints Day. We love this collection. When people are talking about these sorts of things, we bring it back and we got to tell you guys about it. Or when my new book comes out, Godly Ambition, we tell you guys about it. And so we get some backlash, and some of that I think is misunderstood and intentionally misunderstood based on some stuff I've said in the past, which I'm going to get into here in a second. And other aspects of it, I think, have some valid critiques. So I'm going to kind of get into both of those here on this video. And so the context of this is lately we've announced that we have the Among the Pagans collection back. We've announced the book is back. I'm unapologetic with saying, hey, I think we need to stop going after pastors. I think we need to stop going after guys like Forrest Frank because they're doing well. The biggest bad fallacy is not helpful. 1 Corinthians 9 talks about how those who preach the gospel should make a living from the gospel, according to Apostle Paul. And that always gets me in trouble. But I'm not upset about that. Because I want to provide some much needed context in some areas that I have fell short in over the years and some other areas that we've, of course, adjusted with regarding to the Bless God Summit. So if you guys didn't know, I'm originally from a whole other country, Azerbaijan, Baku. I came to the United States as a refugee. I'm ethnically Armenian, but grew up in Azerbaijan. The pogroms of Baku led me and my family to flee, come to the United States. I grew up without my father in my life, grew up getting into a bunch of trouble, got arrested at the age of 11, and ended up coming to faith through the door of apologetics when I was in high school reading Josh McDowell's The New Evidence That Demands a Verdict. So within all that, the backdrop of my life has been one of a lot of turmoil and a lot of heartache and a lot of trauma, experiencing SA, so on and so forth. So when I came to faith in Jesus and I discovered that, man, God has a purpose for my life, God has a plan for my life, that even the things that the enemy meant for evil, even the suffering that I experienced, that was redemptive and good, it really put me on a trajectory to like pour my life into this entire thing. And so that's been almost 25 years ago. I came to the faith like 16, 17 years old when I started going to church and like fully surrendered my life subsequently. And I'm 40 now, right? So it's been 25 years since I've been following Jesus, going to church, so on and so forth. So long story short, what happened was that I fell in love with the Bible. I fell in love with the local church. I fell in love with communicating because I was serving in my local church. But what I discovered is that within church circles that we would often tell people, hey, we need to remove these things from your life. You need to remove the sin. You need to stop sleeping with your girlfriend. You need to stop looking at porn. It's like, okay, yeah, I got that. And then you need to start going to church. You need to start reading your Bible. Okay, I got that. But it kind of ended there. There was no practical brass tacks of like, how does one walk in the fullness of what God has for them in this life? Oftentimes meeting people that like, their faith was like an accessory of sorts, and it was almost like health insurance. Like, hey, Jesus is going to come back next Thursday because some dude on the internet predicted the rapture, and that's all it is. And I always thought there was more to that. And long story short, I got married, and within getting married, I struggled my first couple of years in marriage because we come from poverty. We come from brokenness, broken families. And then on that journey, a couple things happened. I ended up starting to get a little bit of success as a musician. And I also started to walk through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. And me and my wife had made every bad decision there is to make with money, specifically getting into debt, student loans, car notes, credit cards, you name it. We did it, got the t-shirt to match, the dumb tax to match. And I discovered that as we were walking through this journey, that there were a lot of people that I was coming in contact with as my music was slowly starting to get a little spike. I was starting to do shows with Lecrae. I was doing Christian hip hop at the time. There were a lot of people that had the right theology. This is during the Reformed and Restless phase. They had the right theology, but man, there was a disconnect from the praxology. There was a disconnect from the way we should live as people on this side of eternity. And so me and my wife ended up going through the baby steps in the Dave Ramsey program. We were debt-free. We had technically $100,000 in debt. We were debt-free within 18 months. This is before my music was really popping. This is before I was on YouTube. This is before I worked at a church and ministry. And that really was super formidable. And so I have since gone on to write this book, Godly Ambition, which I'm going to mention something interesting that happens when we get haters in the comments. But in that, man, I said, hey, when I get on YouTube and when I start communicating, I don't want to just give people a fluffy, hey, here's a good Bible study to encourage you. I actually want to look at how do the scriptures call us to live. This is where the idea of bless God came from. Live a life that blesses God. This is where all of this flew from. Now, initially on YouTube, I made some mistakes. Here are the mistakes I made. I was primarily giving marketing advice to other Christian rappers. In 2015, I pivoted over to doing music full-time. I quit my job at the church. I was doing music full-time. And in that, I was giving people marketing advice on how they too can go on to be a full-time Christian artist. At the time, we were sustaining ourselves. My wife was a stay-at-home mom, and I, as an independent Christian rapper from 2015 to 2021-ish, was sustaining myself, providing for my family, and we were doing okay. We weren't making a ton of money, but we were doing okay. Long story short, this is about 5-6 years ago. How I got on the YouTube space was I was just documenting my life as a full-time rapper, giving other Christian rappers advice on how to make money off of their art, how to make a living. Why? Because I was, again, seeing people that had great theology, but the praxology was a mess. What does that look like? They say they were doing things for God, but they weren't doing things with God. They said that they had this desire to be a Christian rapper for Jesus, but when it comes to their day-to-day, it was at the expense of their family. So I'm trying to give people advice. And in that, the way I spoke about finances was a bit flippant. It was unwise. Notice that I don't talk about money the same way anymore. And there were some statements I made that I didn't address in the last video about this, but I did. But I'll address it here. Specifically, some stuff that just was not helpful. Now, in that, I think there's critique of that. I think like, hey man, yeah, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 7 years ago. You should be happy for that, right? Like I've grown. I wasn't primarily speaking about Christianity and my faith. I actually didn't want to speak about Christianity and my faith, but my audience was Christian. I was trying to figure out how to navigate that. And it was because of being exposed to Christian YouTube and guys like Mike Winger and guys like Alan Parr that I felt emboldened to speak out about my faith more. Oddly enough, when I didn't speak about my faith more, that people were telling me you were ashamed of the gospel. Now people were saying, hey, you're fleecing the gospel. You're monetizing the gospel. And that's not it. Like I genuinely want to help people live out the things that God has worked in, because I think God has a framework for us to live our life. And so back then, I specifically made one statement that I've never publicly addressed, but the odd thing is like once I started seeing these comments come in this last go around, I actually offered people to go deeper and understand my heart, because it was, hey, you said this 6-7 years ago, which is so, by the way, really weird, kind of cancel culture-ish, right? Like, you would think that if my views have changed on politics, you would think that if my views have changed with how I speak about things, you would think that if I've matured in the fruit of the Spirit with the gentleness, that people would be happy because of that. People would be excited that, man, look, Ruslan's not the same guy he was 5 years ago. You should be happy, right? Like, it's weird that like my conservative friends who have seen me become more conservative usually will celebrate that. But for whatever reason, Christians who struggle with the idea and the topic around finances are uncomfortable having these conversations, and they want to take a snapshot of who you were 5-6 years ago, and then that is all you'll ever be. And so, long story short, these videos started to resurface. They're all still up, by the way. I haven't unlisted any video I've done. You can go back and look at the evolution of my channel from 2016, 17, 18, 2020, 2021. I haven't taken anything down, but what it was is there were some videos that were taken. They were clipped. Some of them were clipped out of context. Some of them were in context. One video specifically that I said, and again, I would never say this today, but I said something to the extent of, hey, I would really like to get some FU money, right? Now, I wouldn't talk like that today, but oddly enough, just last week, a thing I said 6 years ago ran its way back into my comments in a video where I'm talking about pastors getting fairly compensated. So that's what I'm leaning into within this conversation. So let me just say this. I find it interesting that we don't like cancel culture as Christians, yet we try to cancel Christians the moment they've said something that we don't like half a decade ago. Now, in that, one, I would never say that today, but let me say what I meant. 1 Thessalonians 4 talks about, hey, make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. You should work with your own hands, mind your own business, so that you will not be dependent on anyone, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders. Now, from my vantage point, anybody that knows me as a guy that's a big fan of Dave Ramsey, my big dream, my big goal financially is to pay off my house. I want to live in a home that is completely paid for, not so I can get more stuff, not so that I can get a bigger home, not so that I can get more things I don't need. No. I actually think that as a steward, a manager of the life that God has entrusted me with, the time, talent, and treasure that God has entrusted me with, I actually want to decrease my overhead. And what is the biggest expense that most of us have. It's our cost of living. It's our house, right? So when I said that, it's weird that no one asked, like, well, what do you mean by that, right? Because I don't mean like, hey, it's a specific number in the bank account and then I could just be flipping. I use the vernacular of the world in trying to speak to people about something that I think is important. I didn't do it in the most wise way, but the heart, and that's still my goal, by the way, the goal, and I haven't gotten there, but the goal is, hey, I want to get to a place where we have a paid for home so that my expenses aren't high. Now, somebody would say, Ruslan, that's tone deaf of you. How dare you talk about your financial journey and becoming debt free? That's tone deaf of you. How dare you talk about all these things that we're uncomfortable talking about? That's tone deaf of you. And it's like, hey, man, if you feel like that's tone deaf of me, fine. But I'm going to continue sharing these things. And check this out. When I went back and forth with some of these folks in the comments, I said, hey, you know, this isn't really a conversation to have on a YouTube comment. I wrote a whole book about this called Godly Ambition to properly contextualize that ambition is to be stewarded, that our time, talent, and treasure is not our own, that Matthew 25 talks about using our time, talent, treasure. I'll send you a copy of this book for free. This is multiple conversations I had in the comment section, going over scripture, trying to articulate my view. And in that saying, hey, I don't think this is a YouTube comments conversation, but I'll send you a copy of the book for free on me if you commit to reading it, and then we can continue the dialogue. And how many people you think responded and said, man, that's really kind, Ruslan. I disagree with you. I'm going to hold you to stuff you said 5-6 years ago. I'm going to bring stuff up from half a decade ago, and I'm going to take you up on your offer. I'm going to let you send me a free copy of the book, read it, and then continue the dialogue. How many people you think took that opportunity? Zero. Goose egg. Not one single person, and there's probably 6 or 7 people in the comments that I offer this to. Not one single person took me up on that offer, which to me, this is one of the changes we're going to make. This isn't about the conversation around finances, around how should Christians monetize. This isn't that. This is something else. This is a certain paradigm that has its heels dug in that I do believe is influenced by Marxism and communism with regards to just a negative Gnostic view around the material world, which Jesus comes as a man. God, the God-man comes in the flesh, right? That's why the Christmas story is so powerful. And I think these people have their mind made up. And so here's one of the changes I'm going to make. And then I'm going to concede something that we did get wrong. But here's one of the changes I'm going to make. I'm not going to engage with these comments anymore. If you're going to crash out in the comment section, me or someone on my team will probably see you crashing out. If you're going to bring up something I said 5 or 6 years ago, which I've repeatedly addressed, you're just going to get blocked. You're going to get blocked. You're going to get banned. There's no more dialogue to have on this because I've wrote a whole book about it. I said, here you go. Here, a lot of scripture. My story, practical. The book's it's not a memoir. It's not about me. It's about you. It's about every single one of us making the most of the time, talent, and treasure we've been given. So folks who are disagreeing will not take a free book, which to me says these aren't good faith conversations. This isn't reasonable. This is, we have our pitchforks out and we want to cancel someone we disagree with regardless on how much they're willing to have dialogue about it. And that to me is gross. And so that's one of the changes we're going to make is I'm not going to engage with this anymore because what I believe, just to be clear, is that I don't believe that every single person is going to be filthy rich. I don't believe, you name it and claim it and God sends down money to you. I don't believe that the pursuit of the follower of Jesus should be to become famous. I believe the pursuit of the follower of Jesus is to be faithful with the things we have been given, our time, our talent, our treasure. I believe all of that is to point people to live a life that blesses God, to occupy until Jesus comes back. And I am unapologetic about that. I'm not going to back down from that. And so when people quote, throw out verses like this, Jesus says, no one can serve 2 masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. They love to throw this verse out. Whenever we have a merch drop, whenever we're doing a summit, whenever I got a book out, they love to quote this verse. They ignore what comes before this book. This is from this verse. This is from Luke chapter 16. So if you just back it up a few verses, right? Verse 10 says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? So worldly wealth is actually the little things that we're being entrusted with now, especially in the West, especially in North America, especially if you're a sound mind and have an able body. You are being trusted with the opportunity to cultivate your skill set, to use your godly ambition to be a blessing for other people, right? And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? No one can serve 2 masters. So the context of this is actually, hey, if you can't be faithful with worldly wealth and stewardship of things that are on this side of eternity, why do you think you're going to get more stuff in heaven? Why do you think you're going to get more responsibility in heaven, right? That's the context of this verse. And so we are not called to serve money. Money is a terrible, terrible master. But money is a good servant. Okay, so every single person here, you could either love money and use people, or you can use money to love people. And that's ultimately when we're talking about godly ambition, when we're having a Blessed God Summit, that is what we're talking about. So when we have apparel available for you guys, or we have journals, or we have devotionals, or we have a book, this is to equip you to put on something that is made by a Christian for a Christian, so that you can do a couple things. One, you could support a Christian business that's hiring other Christians, that's paying them a livable wage, making sure they have health insurance. This also reminds you of who you represent and allows you to have a conversation in the marketplace regarding living such good lives among the pagans of this kind of spooky Hallows Eve themed drop that we do, that we did last year, by the way, and we got backlash last year. And so that is the point of the piece that we're dropping. That is the point. You're not repping Ruslan. Notice that the t-shirts don't say Ruslan on them. They say bless God, or they say occupy till I come, or they say among the pagans. You're actually representing what you believe as a conversation starter and a way to remind yourself while you go out into the world. And my question goes, why do people have an issue with Christians creating apparel or journals or devotionals and spending their money within their own communities? Instead, they rather go spend their money with the pagans that hate them, hate their God, hate everything they represent. Why would you not want to wear something that represents what you believe and helps you be on mission with making a statement with what you have on? I've never understood that. So it's like you rather go spend money with the pagans than you would with a Christian business owner. It makes no sense to me. And so to be clear, what we believe is the gospel is free. The good news of Jesus is free. Salvation is by grace through faith alone. Okay, I'm a Protestant. I believe that through and through. But the resources that help us live that out, the resources like a book, the resources that encourages like a t-shirt or a hoodie, like a summit, like a journal, like a devotional, those resources cost money to generate. They take time, they take effort, they take teams, and those things are provided as a resource to the people here. And if you don't like them, then don't buy them. If you don't like the Among the Pagans apparel drop, don't pick it up. If you don't like the idea of godly ambition, don't get it. The need to go out of your way to critique somebody because of some stuff I said 5 or 6 years ago, I think is so petty and so telling. So I want to be very clear. This is a differentiation, conflating a Christian conference, a Christian college, a seminary, a leather-bound study Bible that's premium, a devotional book, a prayer journal, a book, a piece of apparel. That is not the same as the gospel. They're not one and the same. Okay, they're not the same thing. But those resources are here to equip you. And by the way, we give away our free 60-day devotional as a PDF. We give away our free prayer journal. Those are there to help you form the type of habits to help you become the person that God is calling you to be. And you don't need a nice premium study Bible, or you don't need my book to do that, but it does allow a framework that's easier for you to potentially piece all of this together. So I think it's really bizarre that people think if you're selling something, you've sold out. And those same people have no problem with buying something from pagans that hate them and hate everything they represent. And so here's the change. I'm not going to keep explaining this over and over. If you don't get it and you're still going to leave a nasty comment, you're probably just going to get blocked. If you want to have a good faith conversation, reach out to me on Instagram. I see my DMs. I'd love to talk to you guys. So the gospel is free, but the work costs something to create. What we wear often reflects what we believe. Going to the Blessed God Summit is not an essential for your faith, but it is a way to gather together and be connected with people that love this community that we've built here, getting people out of the comments and into a conference so that we can be encouraged and be transformed through the gathering of something like a Blessed God Summit. And another reason I'm making this video is because we're about to announce some pretty big names to the Blessed God Summit. And I implore you, like, if you have an issue with how we do stuff here, that's fine, man. Agree to disagree. Like, if I'm walking you through the scriptures, if I'm offering to send you a book, you still disagree, fine. But please leave my friends alone. Please leave the people that we're about to announce at the summit alone. If you guys didn't know, we got Wes Huff, we got KB and Southside Rabbi, we got Ninjas of Butterflies, we got What Do You Meme, Dustin Tavella, Ryan Horton, Josh Nadeau. This is the lineup right now. And I'm going to admit one of the mistakes we made last year regarding the Blessed God Summit. It's happening March 5th, 6th, and 7th in Oceanside, California at the Seabird. This is a premium event. And again, we're about to add some more names to it, names that you guys are all going to recognize. Please Don't go harass them. Why are you partnering with a wolf like Ruslan? Leave these folks alone that we're about to announce because they're friends of mine, and I don't want them catching any slack for things I said 5 or 6 years ago that I've repeatedly apologized and clarified. Now, this is the mistake we made last year. Last year, we had a kid's price that was pretty expensive, and a lot of people pointed it out, rightfully so. And so this year we've adjusted. Again, it's a premium conference, and so we decreased the age of kids. And now this year, all kids 7 and under are free. So if you have a family, you want to get away, you have little ones, you could bring them. We have an overflow room for the kids. They're coming together. Our general admission price has stayed exactly the same. So our general admission price is $297. It's the same it was last year. And a lot of people, I've said this before, a lot of people don't know, this is not a moneymaker for me. I lost $30,000 last year doing this event. I may break even this year. I hope I break even this year. And we're announcing more people. We're flying more people out. This is going to be an amazing event. I really believe that this is something where if we get people in the room, transformation is more likely to happen when there's an environment that's curated to it with regards to the habits and formation of your life. And if you really believe in it, but you can't come, or if you really believe in it and you're coming and you want to bless somebody, you can actually buy a pay it forward general admission ticket for someone else that we'll give away. As last year, we gave away almost 100 tickets, which again, that doesn't get talked about. And so it's like the things that the haters think is some large money grab actually aren't that. It's actually a big L to me financially. So those are some changes that we made on the Blessed God Summit front with regards to kids tickets. Last year, we just honestly just went whatever the industry standard was, which is like an airline ticket for kids, right? I think it's like you're 3 and up. This year, if you have a kid 7 and under, your kid is welcome at the summit completely for free. And so hopefully we'll see more families this year, so on and so forth. Now, let me just end it with this final idea. We've been seeing some amazing things happening on the internet. We've been seeing amazing things happening, whether that's me going on the Sean Ryan podcast, whether that's Wes Huff going on Joe Rogan, whether it's Forrest Frank, selling out arenas on his tour, whether that's Brandon Lake and Phil Wickham doing stadiums, the increase in Bible sales that's gone up 50%, the increase in Bible apps being downloaded, I think has gone up 80% since 2019. There's some amazing things happening here, but here's the deal. The best way to usher this in is not going to be on screens. It's not going to be in stadiums. It's not going to be on Christian YouTube. I think all of this is awesome, but I think all of this serves as a supplement to ultimately Jesus being the sustenance, okay? And this is what I mean. I think revival is here, but I don't think revival is going to happen on screens or in stadiums. I think revival is going to happen in your living room. I think revival is going to happen at your kitchen table. I think revival is going to happen when every single person who watches me or watches Christian YouTube opens up their life, opens up their home, and is willing to do life on life with people. And so why are we pushing live such good lives among the pagans though they accuse you of doing wrong? They see your good deeds and worship God on the day he visits them. Why am I talking about godly ambition? Hey, make it your ambition to lead a quiet life, working with your own hands, minding your own business so you won't be dependent on anyone so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders. The idea here is, I just want to equip you guys with the scars that I've gone through to live such lives that you can be the hands and feet of Jesus in your life, right? That you can do the things that you believe you're called to. Because every single person has a role to play in this. Every single person gets to participate. It's not just the dudes on YouTube. It's not just the artists that are in arenas or in stadiums. It's not just the celebrity pastors or the big churches. Every single person that is a follower of Jesus gets to participate in the work of God. But we got to make sure that our life is in order. We got to make sure that our life is actually congruent with what Scripture teaches. We got to make sure we're actually doing our part in walking out what God has worked in us. And I want to say this to you. Ultimately, you're the one that's stepping into your purpose. I want you to be using your gifts, building your home, blessing your community. I am just someone here to help you remember who you already are in Christ Jesus. That's my goal. And in that, man, we're going to have some apparel for you. I got a book out, Godly Ambition. We're going to have a summit for you to attend where you could see maybe some of these folks that you watch online, get to know them in person. That is accessible to you. It's not an essential, though. None of this is an essential. These are all supplements that if you can afford them, I think you should participate in. If you can't, listen, no harm, no foul. But what I'm not going to do is keep going back and forth with people in the comments that I think are genuinely bad faith, that no matter how many times I explain it to them, no matter how many times we go through 1 Corinthians chapter 9, no matter how many times we go through 1 Timothy 5, they don't care, because I think the deeper issue is not godly ambition. It's not a Christian business owner, Forrest Frank making money off his art. I don't think those are the issues. I think the real issue is I think there is a Christian apathy the Christian nihilism that has crept into so many believers' hearts because they're so disoriented what's happening in society with how dark the world has gone that they've forgotten that they carry the light. And those folks that are just basking in apathy, basking in nihilism, basking in, man, I can't get ahead because those folks over there, they're doing well, or this person over there, he's fleecing the gospel. Those folks, I think, are so checked out and removed from the reality of like how God can use them, and they rather just punt it. And so then I become something that they're allergic to. And that's fine. I'm allergic to them as well. This is not for them. So if you're going to keep showing up in the comments, you're going to keep being mad about, hey, man, why are you talking about your Patreon? Man, because Patreon is a good way for you guys to partner with us, to support what we're doing here, right? Like if we can double our Patreon within the next 6 months, you would be shocked on what that will do to our quality, what that will open up specifically to the types of videos that we do, the vlogs and the documentaries we want to film. It will completely unlock everything we're doing. So yeah, we're going to talk about our Patreon. We're going to encourage you guys to hop on it. We're going to encourage you to buy the merch. I'm going to encourage you to buy Godly Ambition because it's actually good for you to support things that you value. And here's the deal. I understand not everyone's going to do that. We reach 100,000 people a day for my channel, 100,000 unique users, 1 million unique users a month. I understand that everybody's not in a position to support, but I do think there's like 10,000 of you guys, 5,000 of you guys, that if you sign up on a Patreon, man, it'd move the needle. If you came to the summit, it would be a blessing to you, and it would help me not lose $30,000 this year. These things, I'm not doing it to enrich myself. A lot of what you're seeing is me doing it at the deficit of my own financial stability, if you will. But that's okay, because it's not about the money to me. It's about faithfulness. And that's what I ultimately want to get across, man, that every single one of us gets to participate in God's story, that it's not about you and it's not about me. It's about Jesus. Jesus is on the throne. And if I can come alongside of you through these videos, through these podcasts, through the summit, through my book, praise God, man. I love being used in that way. The feedback on the book has been incredible. A lot of these ideas, I go deeper in on the book, and the feedback has been wild. Like go read the comments on Amazon, right? So it's been super fun, super rewarding. And so I just wanted to clear the air. I have heard some of the things that people said, specifically with the last Blessed God Summit. Hey, we're decreasing the prices for the kids tickets. We've kept the regular prices the same. We've increased the quality of our venue. We've got a lot of our favorite speakers coming back, and we're about to announce some more that like I'm personally ecstatic by. But please settle down with the hate. You don't have to agree on everything that happens here, but unity doesn't have to be uniformity. You don't have to agree with everything, but you also don't need to go out of your way to consistently critique things that I've been more than willing to engage with. I've talked about. I've went on other people's channels. Shout out to my man Aaron Page, who I walked through all of this stuff with on his channel. He asked me all the hard questions. I'm willing to have these conversations, but not going to be having them in the comment section no more. It's just not going to be tolerated. And I hope that this encourages you. I hope this provides some clarity for you. Because I'm not in a spot where like I need to defend myself. I'm in a local church. I got amazing pastors. I got amazing friends. I got an amazing family. God's been really good to me. But I just wanted to put this out there. And so hopefully it encourages you. Hopefully it blesses you. If you don't have something from the Among the Pagans collection, go pick it up. Go pick it up. It's perfect for the season that we're entering with Hallows Eve and All Saints Day, a way to remind yourself who you represent, the values that we should have. If you don't have your tickets to the Blessed God Summit, go get a ticket to the Blessed God Summit, okay? We're about to make a massive announcement to the lineup. I think you're going to be shocked with the people that we have coming. So go get your tickets to the Blessed God Summit now, all right? And before we get out of here, those of you guys that aren't familiar with Among the Pagans, what it means, where did it come from, what does the design mean, we put together this little video kind of explaining that. I think this is fire. Let me know what you think about it. Check it out. What if I told you this ominous character often used for Halloween costumes is much closer to a metaphor for Christians than you might think, and is even in our newest Blessed God collection? This character is actually the uniform of a plague doctor. You see, the Black Plague in the 1300s was absolutely devastating, taking out between 25 to 50 million people in Europe. The doctors of this era would wear these beaked masks filled with spices and aromatics, so when they entered the contaminated areas filled with death and decay, they could avoid the stench of death, ward off the supposed poisonous air, and prevent from contacting the very thing destroying their patients. This reminds me of the verse found in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 12, which reads, "Live such good lives among the pagans that though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day he visits us." And this is what the brand new Among the Pagan collections is based on. As we near Halloween night, us Christians are faced with the reality of Satan's grip on culture. While many enjoy the evening as a time to dress up in innocent costume, you don't have to go too far. until you are met with a house or person dressed up in a way that glorifies demonic things. John 8, verse 12, Jesus spoke to the people and said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Although we are surrounded by darkness, we are promised the light of life through Jesus. 1 Peter 2:12 emphasizes this point, that we are not to seclude from culture, but to live lives that contrast what is worshipped by the pagans. In this collaboration with Josh Nadeau from Sword and Pencil, the same artist who brought you the Occupy Till I Come collection, we see a powerful story communicated in this piece of art. At the top, we see the iconic image of Saint Michael the Archangel slaying the devil on either side of a mysterious figure in the center. That mysterious figure is a depiction of a Christian as a plague doctor, wearing the beak mask to avoid the stench of death all around. As the image descends, we see depictions of death and hell to emphasize this point of the Christians living among the pagans. Clean outer border starts to crumble and crack the lower it goes, signifying disorder. And imprinted on the tombstone at the very bottom is where you'll find the scripture reference, 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 12. Guys, we got a variety of high quality tees, champion hoodies, long sleeve tees, prints, and even a puzzle right now available at blessgod.shop. Don't let the pagans be the ones to dominate this season.